I have to say that's very much like character loading, like character selection menu. Like,
The audio intro thing.
oh, you're doubled.
Oh, that's because I'm still not deafened on this. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like, choose your character.
I know when I created it, I had an idea of what it was going to be, but then I got lost in the fog of MIDI mixing, which is why somebody else has to do this type of thing because I like tinkering and then I just get.
You over tinker.
I was trying to come up with like a battle theme background music for us to just have constantly going. And
By the way, is it still going?
no,
Okay.
Jason stopped it. Thank you, Jason.
No, I didn't.
So-
You did.
I did. Oh,
Are we sure?
It's done.
You would hear it if it
Okay.
was going. This is a different
Yeah.
platform.
I unlooped it, so it's. Oh, that's why it stopped automatically. It's not me. It's the magic of devices that know more than I do.
Hey.
Welcome to Probability of Demise, our podcast.
Oh yeah, that. Welcome.
where we introduce ourselves eventually after a sidebar. I am Rurik, your game master. I am joined by the awesome crew. Jason plays Asher Lake, a young bard of Limerick. Larissa, who plays Trixie, a furry maple lover. Maybe not the best phrasing. I'll work on that. And Jess, who
Yikes.
plays Tanzanite, the highbrow lover of everything graveside.
Wow.
We-
You are on a good. Okay, we are never ever streaming at this time again because
Yeah, it is. It's like 9 a.m. for Rurik, and it's not going well. I thought you were a morning person. What's happening?
I am not a morning person. I have to be a morning person for my previous work, but now I've changed jobs. I've accepted a position. I'm going to be like Jason. He's my role model. I'm going to do everything he does from now on.
Oh dear.
But we apologize for our memes and puns and etc. 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 Hope you find your own pod to play D&D with. We are playing a TTRPG based on the D&D system using kind of a world that we created that now I have totally corrupted because I had a terrible D100 roll series when we had our last guest on that kind of changed the fabric of the world, or at least the fabric of these adventurers. So sorry for ripping the rug out from underneath you, but welcome to a world post-apocalyptic Earth where suddenly the gods have arrived. That was the first scary D100 roll.
Duh.
And then they got fast forwarded through time, which was the second terrible D100 roll. Hope you enjoy this. It'll be so much fun. Larissa, before we
Yeah.
get into the game, do you have any announcements?
Just a reminder, if you have the ability and the financial means to support local artists, support your local gaming stores, support museums, try to go to concerts, try to go to shows, drag shows, anything that's creative, try to support artists. The world's trying to recover from something that isn't over yet, but life goes on. And also, if you are interested in singing choral music with an LGBTQ choir, the Stonewall Chorale is accepting auditions for their 2022-2023 season, which is their 46th season. In March, we will be performing a piece dedicated to Matthew Shepard. That was written specifically in honor of his murder, which was, if you weren't alive at the time, it was extremely horrific and kind of really brought to light the injustices against the queer community that were and are still happening. So sorry to go a little serious on y'all, but it's we do powerful works, and it's a very good community. So if you are interested in choral music, If you even just want to support us, you can always donate at stonewall.org/donate. But if you love to sing, we'd love to have you. So you can find more information at stonewall.org, or comment, let me know, and we can work something out.
Yay!
Beautiful. Jason, do you have anything to share, or should we all roll for what ridiculousness you are going to share with us later after our break?
Yeah, do that.
It's a D20, right? That's what we're rolling?
D20 roll. Who won last time? Was that Larissa? Or
I definitely did last
Larissa.
time because I hadn't gone yet. Is the chat fixed for YouTube?
Yes, I went in and
Okay.
fixed it.
Okay.
That's why I was like staring over here. I was in the settings for the live stream.
thank you. I have no idea what went wrong, but
It was
you.
set for kids only or something, like a kids broadcast, so there was no live chat.
Definitely not
that
that
might
setting.
be a YouTube update thing because
Hey,
we are
kids, what the
definitely
fuck
not
is up?
appropriate for children. Yo, little teeny boppers.
Check it out, kiddies.
furry
That was a
maple
D
lover.
fucking 20.
Fellow maple lover.
It's like,
A
I
furry
really
Today,
hope,
kids, we're
furry
going to talk
maple
about
lover.
death.
I really hope this broadcast doesn't like automatically generate hashtags and like and search words because oh dear, I'm gonna get a
Yeah.
whole different audience.
All right. I got a 15. What'd you get, Jess?
13.
Oh, that means I won. And as we've already heard, my creative energies are at a wackadoo.
Oh, but that's just prime for what
I feel like we really need something that's intrinsic to what we do. So I think that we need to have. Sorry, these
Wait. I
chickens
got an
outside-
idea.
Oh,
As the winning roller, you get to choose whether you pick the topic or whether you have to read it.
Ooh.
Oh God. Jason's trying to pass the buck.
no, this might be really fun because I'm kind of topic, bleh, but by the time it's time to read, maybe I'll actually be articulate. You're gonna still write it, right, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll read it.
So now
I'll
Jess
read,
has to pick.
I'll read whatever you write.
Ah, you got settled anyways.
I have to pick?
I'll pass the book.
How
But
did that happen?
That's all right. It just means that next week you don't have to do anything still. It'll be between Rurik and I.
Jason retconned the game. I like it.
Okay,
Oh.
the topic is
I mean, you could all roll for who has to read, since Larissa hasn't read one.
Hey, shut up.
Oh, that'd be fun. We should
Next week,
after this
next week
one.
I'll roll.
It's a reset next week, but we'll roll for who reads and who does a topic, and we roll the reader first. So the other two are the ones who have to choose the topic to see what they can get their friend to say. How spicy can you get it, Jess?
Oh God.
I'm like looking around this room trying to like
I love
Oh,
lamb.
no. I was full on looking outside at the chickens going, what's a good chicken topic? I am so tired of chickens. Why am I going to throw chickens?
Doodads and ear hair straightener have been taken,
Uh-huh.
as have
Schmuck
schmuck
spray.
spray and the dry ball spray. So
Okay.
maybe we'll stay away from sprays for today.
A box, a drawer full of little drawers.
A drawer of drawers.
Yeah. Like a cabinet of cabinets.
Okay.
I
I think
love
these
it.
are technically called like Chinese medicine cabinets or something.
That sounds right.
Oh, yeah, those
So-
are really fun. This is almost like, I feel like that's the storage version of the nesting dolls.
Yeah,
Like you just put more and more and more and more.
agreed.
I especially loved. I found one medicine cabinet where it's got all those drawers, and you opened one of the drawers, and inside the drawer were tiny little drawers. I was like, this is taking it to another level.
I feel like
Drawerception.
this should be Jess's bag of holding. Every time you just pull a drawer out and it turns into a full-size drawer, you pack it full of stuff. It shrinks down as you shove it back in.
That would be
I think
awesome.
I need that.
That would-
I should have that in real life, but that would be the ultimate doom box. Like,
Yeah, we'd never find you after you
fucking
fell in
roar.
on day 3.
rude.
Jess, you homebrew the description. I will put it into the game someplace for you all to find. That has to exist.
Amazing. Okay.
Call it the drawers of drawers.
Drawers of holding.
The drawers and drawers and drawers and drawers and drawers and drawers of holding. Maybe that's the incantation you used to
nesting
invoke
drawers of holding.
it. Nesting drawers of holding.
Grand's Brands Drawers Unlimited.
Grands,
Bring-
brands, grands, drawers.
Grand's brands, drawers.
Do you have the drawers?
Okay.
Okay.
Should we actually play?
We are going to actually play. I'm going to
What
play
about
a
my
little...
word?
Oh, no. Yes. What word of the day?
Word of the day. Word of the day.
You stole my high part.
You didn't do it.
Oh, next week I just realized something as you're all doing this. Sorry, Jess, cutting you off a little bit. But we don't have to worry about it next time because it's going to be our guest. We have a guest next week, and it's going to be our guest's turn to come up with a topic.
Ah.
Yeah.
Our guest is long time coming Andy fan.
Andy fan.
Long time, really.
Leave it.
You said it.
I really tried. Okay, what is the word of the day?
All right. The word of the day is adroit.
Adroit.
Yes, having or showing skill, cleverness, or resourcefulness in handling a situation.
I like it.
Interesting.
So like
So it's an adjective.
adept?
Yes,
Got it.
adjective.
I am an adroit starer at chickens.
Yes,
I don't
adroit
have a choice.
maneuverer.
I am not adroit at playing D&D well.
I quite adroitly fell into the pool. Twice.
What the adroit are you talking about?
All right, I'm going to play our little...
This is not
Change
the adroit
over.
you're looking for.
Oh.
I knew that was going to come, but... Oh. I
I
was
really kind of
counting
want.
down
to
incorrectly.
add into the intro when that little dragon dips, and I want to be like rawr, and just like comes out again.
Oh no! Still no chat?
Did our chat die again?
Never mind.
We have chat. We have chat.
Yep, never mind.
Okay. Y'all are confusing me.
Oh no, that message was old.
Oh. All right. We are. I'm trying to breathe now. We are jumped forward in time in Atland, this continental space. Last time, you found that there have been innovations. Nothing like conflict to force innovation to occur. And while you have all been missed, it seems that you have been, if not deified, at least held up on a pedestal in your absence. And this was not coming from the general people, but actually from some beings that claim to be gods. And you have been kind of thrust into a situation where there is some looming conflict. And you are also overly imbued with these powers from the explosion that may or may not have triggered these events, and need to find a way to express them. Otherwise, they will perhaps dissipate, perhaps explode once again out of your body. Whichever way that goes. Trixie has found a way to channel hers. She began a process of exploring something that had occurred to her in the last battle, and oddly enough, there were a couple of Gith newly arrived to this world who seemed to have somewhat similar skill sets and were able to help her channel and discover this. They have, at this point, Trixie, unless you're going to fight it, they are kidnapping you for training. You are full on going to be pulled into a series of monastic traditions and experiences to explore these abilities and grow yourself. So that's where you're kind of at for the holding pattern right now.
Like in elementary school when you draw the stick figures in the corner of the paper and then you flip it, make the flip book. I want that, but it's Trixie's training montage.
That would be a great animation. I imagine that it's like multiple times of her teleporting into walls until she finally gets it solid.
Come on, give me a little bit of benefit of the doubt.
You are a squirrel. Have you seen squirrels try to cross the street?
Which came first, the squirrel or the road? Just saying.
The road. Okay. Sorry, I'm just being a brat. So Jess and Tanzanite and Asher, you were going to go find a location to meditate. For Asher learn this art, and for Tanzanite to have a moment to try to figure things out. So Tanzanite, you do find a space. It looks like a little courtyard area of some sort, but it's within. And there's light peeking through from a kind of glowing orb in the corner, so it's casting some interesting shadows in the space, but otherwise it's a tranquil, if slightly dimly lit space. Does this work for what you're hoping to do?
Is it pretty and clean?
Let's just have fun with this. Let's roll a aesthetics check, aka perception check.
Perception. Okay.
Roll for aesthetics.
Everybody's been using that term as a.
I work in marketing, so I come across the words aesthetically pleasing like 14 times a day.
Oh, definitely. I feel like it's being abused lately.
Good. That'll be a whole 13 with my +8 for this.
So I'm tearing apart perception for these purposes, but you find this space is a little dusty, redeemable, but clearly has been neglected.
Hang on, I need to take my Flonase. It's dusty.
I think.
I want to
so
go
gross.
to. That was.
That is
I want to go to
hilarious.
like the cleanest looking area
Mhm.
and just try to like, like blow and dust away a little spot to sit in.
I'm just going to have fun making you roll right now because I'm using this to build up some information. Roll a performance check.
Ooh. Performance.
If you roll over a 18, I'll let you describe. If you roll less than an 18 but more than a 10, I'll let Asher describe. And if it's below a 10, I get to describe.
Okay, well, you have fun. It was a 7.
Oh. Asher, you watch as she begins to brush away dust, and it seems like this is a very fine dust. So fine that it creates a huge cloud, and it lays hovering in the air for minutes. And when it finally clears, Asher, you haven't fully stepped into the room yet, but you see a bronze sculpture that looks like tanzanite. And you realize it's not a sculpture. It's a dust-covered tanzanite.
You got a little smuts right there.
I know. Thank you. And I'm just gonna wipe my eyes and try to, just like pat off. Just
I'm gonna come in and just be like, start prestidigitating the dust off of her.
Just do my face. Just do my face. It's fine. Okay. And I'm gonna plop down.
A little bit of dust settles, but not as bad as before.
And I'm gonna tap the ground next to me and gesture for Asher.
It poofs right where you're supposed to sit.
Poof down next to her again.
Okay.
Oh, God.
So, meditating, so we don't explode. Okay. I'm still really new at this. I didn't really do it when I was supposed to as a kid. Okay. Alright. I'm going to just show you what I do. But meditating is very individual. So, take what I say and adjust it to what you may need. Okay?
Okay.
So, I like to concentrate on something. So, for me, it's my stone. For you, maybe it's like your little like poem book.
Okay. Take out my book.
And you're just going to hold it and you're going to focus on its texture and you're going to focus on the more the physical qualities of it, and then your mind's going to naturally wander and just let it wander.
Okay. Am I meditating yet? Does it
Yes.
work? Is it working? Okay. Just checking.
Meditating is supposed to be calming. So just let the words go.
I'm feeling a lot of pressure. I don't feel calm.
Don't feel calm? Okay. Tell me about a duck.
A what?
Yep, tell me about a duck. Tell me a story about a duck. Go.
So a duck walks into a bar. It says, you got any crackers? And the bartender says, no, this is a bar. We don't serve crackers. Get out of here. So the duck leaves. The next day, the duck comes back and says, hey, bartender, you got any crackers? And the bartender says, no, this is a bar. We only serve liquor. Get out of here. And so the duck leaves. And the next day, the duck comes back. He says, hey, bartender, you got any crackers? And the bartender says, hey, look, I told you we only serve liquor here. If you come back in here again, I'm going to nail your feet to the bar. Get out of here. Duck says, okay, and he leaves. The next day, the duck comes in. Says, hey, bartender. Bartender says, what? He says, you got any nails? Bartender says, no, why? He says, got any crackers?
Asher, could you roll a performance check? And Tanzanite, can you roll a just a general insight check?
Wow. My bonuses are so stupid now. 17. I rolled a 4. My performance bonus is plus 13 now after we leveled.
You've literally run in to be a performer of poems. Like, it's expected that you should generally do really well.
My insight was a whole 16.
Okay. I think you're trying to follow this series of jokes, and in the process of it, you just start laughing. And your laughter just echoes through the hallway, and you hear it echoing back at you.
I'm going to say, sorry, I know we're trying to meditate. I didn't mean to quack you up.
No, it was to calm the mood. Do you feel more calm?
Yes.
You can't be stressed out when you're laughing.
The voices keep approaching. They seem to be echoing your laughs.
So
The acoustics in here are really weird.
let's see. I could be a jokester too.
Yeah? What do you got?
Okay. Maybe I don't have any jokes.
Sure you do.
Let's see. A joke. Okay. My older brother taught me this one. I don't remember how it went. I'm not very good at jokes. Why don't you tell me another joke? You're the joke person.
Do you want more duck jokes?
Sure.
Where do ducks put their stuff when they go on an adventure? In their quack pack.
Again, when Tanzanite laughs, you hear the echoes are much, much closer. The copies of her laughter, and it's definitely strange that these echoes are getting closer and closer.
I'm gonna look around and try to figure out what is wrong with the acoustics, because something is clearly weird.
Roll a perception check.
16. Math. Use your fingers.
Yeah, 16 is just enough. Asher, you're able to make out when she's laughing that the shadows in this space cast by that one glowing orb seem to take the form of humanoids for a moment, and they keep gathering closer as she laughs.
Do you hear that?
I did.
Like something's coming closer when you laugh? I think it's
Just me or
attracted to-
you?
I don't know.
It's not very real of a laugh, but maybe.
Asher, even as you say that, and as Tanzanite does that, there's a pause as the shadows kind of reform, and this time both of you can make them out as humanoid shapes, but they seem to drift towards Asher in this moment. But it takes them a second. It's almost like they got confused about where the source of laughter was coming from, and now they're moving towards Asher.
Whoa. Okay, well, I have a joke, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Why did the old gnome fall in the well?
Why?
Because he couldn't see that well.
Well done.
Thank you, thank you.
Chris, you gotta stop muting yourself just be part of this.
I don't want to interrupt.
Your laughter is helpful in this space.
I
Your
didn't.
laughter
I
is
didn't
helpful.
laugh. I moaned because that was so bad.
That would also have been very helpful. Remember, we've got a listening audience as well, and they don't see you chortling in the background and groaning and covering your face in fear.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. Okay,
Did I ever tell you about the time I went to see Trixie's mom about my short-term memory problems?
No.
She made me pay in advance.
As the laughter echoes through, those shadowy shapes shift in direction and come closer to Tanzanite.
We can see them.
Yes,
right?
they're at this point, both through Asher's perception check, but also just through the repeated laughter, they are very obvious.
Do you think we can talk to him?
I don't know. Hello, Shadow. That is stalking us.
He takes a moment, and they seem to be stuck and confused. And then you hear whispered, "Hello, Shadow, who is talking to us?"
Mm-hmm.
It vaguely sounds like what you said, but wispy, like it's not fully there.
I mean, I know that we came in here to meditate, but I'm really confused by these shadowy people.
Yeah, are they bad?
I don't know. Should we focus on not blowing up and then the shadows, or the shadows and then not blowing up?
What if the shadows kill us before we blow up?
Okay, so shadows first. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to go, Asher, tell me the best joke you have. Make me laugh really, really hard.
I was dating a girl and she found out that I replaced our bed with a trampoline and she really hit the roof.
Okay.
I don't know how much of that is like in-game legitness, but that's the best joke ever.
Okay. Asher, could you roll a performance check on that? And Tanzanite, can you roll a
Nat 20! It is the best joke ever. It really is.
Tanzanite, forget it. You don't have to roll anything.
That is a 33.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I'm not having you roll those performance checks if I can help it in the future. I think we just need to have like a baseline where I don't have to, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be, whatever the medium range, but I got to remember this is your zone, especially with jokes. You probably have advantage on jokes now.
Oh, wait, don't we have a thing for this? The Nat 20 thing.
Oh yeah, we do. We have a little banner pop up.
I don't remember where those are. There it is.
Show.
Whoop.
Oops, we
We
both
recorded at the same time. All right.
Okay, so in this case, when you say your joke and Tanzanite laughs, the laughter continues in the shadowed people, and they become more defined in shape and form, and you can see that there are 12 distinct figures, and they seem to be copying your pose, although they do shift slightly in space, like they're not fully tethered to the material plane, but they seem to be copying your pose and completing a circle with you and Tanzanite at one side.
But they're not touching us.
No, they're not touching you.
Are they reaching out to touch us at all, or they're just standing in a circle with us?
They're sitting in the circle with you.
Oh, they're
Just
sitting,
like you're
right,
seated.
right.
They're
Yeah,
exactly, they're mirroring you and Asher's poses. Exactly.
Are they getting stronger when we laugh? Seems like they might be.
I don't know. Oh, I have another joke.
Okay.
Maybe let me see if I can remember it. This is not my forte, but okay. What's red and smells like blue paint?
What?
Red paint.
Could you roll a performance check, Tanzanite?
Yeah. Do I get a bonus for the cuteness value?
Cuteness advantage?
Asher, do you laugh at this wholeheartedly, or are you laughing
Yes.
in pity?
I like bad jokes.
Okay. I'll give you advantage because he actually
Thank
laughed.
God. Much better. It's a nat 20.
Nat 20 joke session!
Oh my god.
Okay. So the two of you, I mean, yes, you're still having your laughs. You're doing ridiculousness. These shadow people have not changed, but I think in response to your laugh, their laugh becomes much more distinct, and it's individual laughs. It's not one unified laugh. And after that laugh, they all seem to be looking at Tanzanite, and their eyes just seem to be beaming, which is odd for shadows.
Well,
We're definitely making them stronger. Is this bad? Or
I feel like if they were gonna hurt us, they would have hurt us.
if you feed on laughter, can you really be bad?
Yeah.
So I had a friend who worked building roads, but he got fired from his job for stealing. I didn't want to believe it, so I went to his house, but all the signs were there.
One last performance check from you.
18.
I think that does elicit a chuckle from them, but their eyes remain riveted on Tanzanite in this moment, and their laughter carries a hint of words now, and you hear, "She's alive."
Do we find that surprising?
Roll an insight check.
I more meant there's more of a question to them. Like, do you find it surprising that she's alive? Insight 20, dirty 20.
One of the shadows has looked over at you when you said that. Is that surprising? And I think with that role, you are a people person. You've been around a lot of people. You know what sorrow looks like, what excitement looks like, what displeasure looks like. This is not any of those. This is veneration. And as they turn their gaze back towards Tanzanite, you can see that it's directed fully at her.
They seem to be copying us, too.
Are these the shadow people from the cave when we blew up?
I don't know.
Because there were shadows and you went
I'm gonna
and then you just
lean
peered.
over to the one next to me, and I'm just gonna go, do we know you?
You are almost ready to die, but not yet, and we'll help you.
Asher, did you hear that?
Yeah, did they mean they're going to help you die? I hope not.
I don't know. I'm gonna lean back over and be like, you're gonna help me die?
Queen of Death must also accept death. But we will protect you until you are ready.
How do I die? When do I die?
Naturally.
Can I die right now? And I'm gonna go and just like squeeze to see if I like pop.
Don't do that. You might blow up.
As you squeeze to see if you pop, it's a different experience. It's not how you normally request assistance from your deity or anything like that. What I would love you to do is roll 2 d10s.
Okay.
Or d100s, I'm sorry. Roll 2 d100s. So you're rolling percentile die twice.
Okay. I'm rolling 2 d100s.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm wishing you luck from the big D100 god.
Ow. Okay. And now roll. Go.
Rolling.
Okay.
Right.
So, do you want the combined numbers or the separated numbers?
Separated numbers.
A 52 for the first, a
Yeah.
94 for the second.
Okay. So as you do both of those things, you feel as you're like just pushing and trying to connect to your death, it swaps over. You can feel it's almost like if you've ever watched like some of those weird trippy 90s and 80s techno movies where like suddenly like a wire will change, but it's like a fake virtual wire, like something just snapped into a different location than you meant for it to go. And as soon as you do that, it feels like you have a feedback loop. It just feels like your energies are just running themselves in a circle. And you can feel that it's not successful, and it fizzles, and it leaves you with a tingly feeling all over your body, kind of like when you lose blood to a specific part of your body, except it's not painful. It's just the tingles. But it's suffusing your entire being. And you think if you did this same type of thing again and really made it work, you would be able to connect with something beyond yourself but of yourself in a weird, strange way. And just like as you're putting that pressure in, it's like you've snapped into this mental headspace, and you know that you could do this every day, but once you succeed, it's going to be extremely draining of this new energy well that you have within yourself, and you have connected with that little nugget, that God's head within you. And
Now you know more. Go boom boom.
she still go boom boom, but now she's connected to that part.
Wait, I feel like go boom boom means something else. Never mind. Although she did go like this, so who really knows?
But yeah, you've connected to that little bit of whatever, and
I like Andy's nat 20 idea in the chat. Tanzanite success gets her 1 use of bardic inspiration.
but just fully connected with that thing, and as you're fully connected with it, the shadows seem to have sensed it, and they fade a little bit. But even as they fade, you sense approval from them. And this isn't an insight. You sense it inside of yourself, like empathetically. You sense that they approve.
Are they friends? Or are they trying
Yes.
to kill you?
Yes. No. Kinda?
Do you want me to light up this room and make them go away?
No.
Okay.
So do you continue your meditation session?
Okay. So shadows didn't murder us, so meditate?
Okay, so meditate. Okay,
And I
so
go, sit back down and go poof.
so mainly you just want to go focus on your breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and you honestly just
Dusty. Excuse me.
yeah, just wave a bit, and just. I know it sounds crazy, but you gotta just be here, be in the moment. And thoughts are gonna pop into your head, and that's okay. You know, just acknowledge it. You know, maybe you're like, ooh, I could really go for a muffin right now. And just be like, oh, you know what? I'll get a muffin later. I gotta try to relax. And, you know,
I could go for a
don't get
muffin.
angry that you thought about a muffin. Just, you know, you thought about a muffin, you acknowledged that muffin, and you'll think about it later. And just breathe, and maybe, you know, maybe some words will pop into your head or something, and you can focus on those, and maybe a poem will come out of it or something.
Okay. Just got look at my eyes, like all clenched shut, like I'm trying to think really hard about not thinking.
And I'm gonna go up to him and flick him in between the eyebrows, and be like,
Asher, roll a wisdom saving throw.
Me
Roll
or
a
her?
wisdom. Asher.
I'm not a wise man, but it's a 16.
not a wise man.
You get thumped between the eyebrows, but it's almost like you expected it because you did reach a certain space. And
So yeah, I thump him and I go, you're not supposed to think about not thinking. But again, if you think about not thinking, just be like, I thought about thinking. Quiet the brain. And, oh, okay, how about this? I'm going to give you a word, and you, because you're such a word person, maybe you need to think about words. So I'm going to give you a word, and just let your mind wander about that word.
Okay.
Okay, the word is Bonnie.
Oh. Okay.
And just does it, you know, I know probably something very particular popped into your head, but that doesn't mean that that's what you have to think about. Just the word Bonnie, and just see where your mind takes you. And I'm gonna like rub between his eyebrows and be like, and don't think too hard. Eh. Try to like massage like in between.
Like trying to like pressure point him into chilling out. Asher, where do you think your thoughts take you?
I'm thinking about Bonnie and how we just like. It's making me sad because I'm thinking of how we just like disappeared and left her in that village by herself, and then like, even though it set her on a path that seems to have kind of worked out, it still like makes me sad that there was probably like a lot of time where she was scared and alone and didn't know what to do next, and how she probably, because she's still in that space, she probably just like waited for us there for a long, long time with like her and the cats, and it's depressing me.
Okay. Okay.
And then I'm gonna say, Bonnie's gone now, gone with the wind, gone away. What a sad story.
That was a really nice little poem story.
Thanks.
Can you roll a Arcana check, Asher?
Boy, that's a 7. I blew up.
You feel yourself leaking a little bit, and you don't know why. But Tanzanite, can you
Open my
roll
eyes.
an Arcana check? You can't tell if it's the tears on your face or if it's something else.
Sorry.
Jesus. 7.
Okay. So
Dr. Doolittle moment.
as you both are sitting there, you have tears just kind of coming from your eyes, but it feels like something else is leaving as well, and you don't know where or to what purpose it's going. And just as you're having this kind of solemn moment and this bonding moment, kind of the first time the two of you were in the same space, and that Tanzanite was honestly civil to you, Asher, for such a long period of time, you both have this kind of shared moment, and then you hear, Asher, we have things to do, and Nee pops into the room. You have friends.
Yeah. Been traveling with friends and.
But there's.
Through space and time.
And his eyes lock on.
Oh,
Tanzanite.
my friends.
Oh, them. Yeah. They're new. We laughed
They're
a lot,
new.
and then they got stronger. It was weird.
They're here for my death.
But not right now.
Not right now.
Okay.
Do you know what they are? Because we have no idea.
I have to tell you too. They're or you all. There's been a lot of strange things. From, I mean, you met our friends that get that. They've been really helpful, but really progressed our magical knowledge. But they tell me you, and he just kind of like turns. This has reminded him to Asher. You have potential. You have potential. You can do the thing that we need you to do. So I need you.
Okay.
Come on.
You got this. Go do the thing you got to do. Only you can.
He kind of stands up and gets going.
Now go do
Toddling
that
off down
voodoo that you do so well.
Tanzanite.
Thank you, Tanzanite, for helping me.
I'm
gonna like run up and I'm gonna kiss her on the cheek and I'm gonna run away.
She blushes a little.
Could you roll a deception check, Tanzanite?
Me?
Yeah.
Where the heck? Where
Skills.
is this?
Skills.
Oh, there. Oh, there it is.
It's alphabetical.
I know, that's why I was so confused. 15.
Alphabets.
It deceived you.
It did. It
Um,
really did. I was like, there's gotta be. I found it.
Asher isn't able to see how much you blushed, but when you say that you blushed a little bit, you're only deceiving yourself and thinking the shadows that they're hiding the flush of just a caring gesture coming from someone besides your father. That is, unique and novel. And as he jets out with not jetting, I mean, he's not that fast, but as the two of them toddle out, the shadows around you kind of come closer, and you hear whispered, but not in your ears, just whispered to you, "Are you ready to meet others?"
Yes.
And with that, the shadows kind of gather around you, and the same shadows that you had kind of dripping from you seem to be what they flow into. And you feel a guiding force directing your steps down a different pathway, and out into the light. And as you hit the light, the shadows that you do always kind of have collected around you at this point, since the incident in the battle, you make your way down, and you see the canyon just gaping down below, and you can see floating up some sort of thin sheet of material, and individuals quickly working to pull it with long harpoon-like poles to the sides, and rearranging it as another. As you had come in, there had been a large cauldron poured down into the canyon, as another large cauldron of substances poured down, and you hear and smell sizzling, and you hear people down below working quickly and shouting orders to each other, and it's just kind of this industrial chaos in the canyon. And you still feel your footsteps guided as you're walking through these spaces, and you come to what looks like a natural cave, which is unnatural in this redeveloped canyon city. There's not very many naturally left spaces. And in this natural cavern, you see dozens and dozens of beings.
Sorry, I lost you after. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I lost you after you said that they were still guiding my feet after they had dumped the cauldron.
Yes. So you're kind of in this space where I'll describe it a little bit better, I think, for just our audience, and for Asher and Trixie to also know that this is going on in the open area of the canyon. They're pouring this substance down into the canyon basin. There's a sizzle and smell and shouted orders, and then large sheets of this material seem to float up to the top, and where they're grabbed and manipulated and pulled away into the canyon walls for use in some sort of manufacturing or some sort of tooling or whatever it is. And then while you're kind of observing this industry, you still feel your feet guided to a natural looking little alcove of a cave, which is odd because so much of the canyon walls, the entirety of it, has been developed into structures for people. It's all been modified. So to find a little naturalist alcove like this is strange. And within that, you find dozens and dozens of beings. They seem to be waiting.
Like, not shadow people? Actual?
No, actual, viscerally real beings. But roll a perception check and let's see what you see.
Jesus. 13.
You're having the week I had last time.
Yeah.
It's a melange of beings. You see some that look just the flavor of creature is quite extensive. You see some individuals who look extremely humanoid, just like your general everyday average being. But then there's also like an absolutely gorgeous woman who's radiating light from her body. There's another person standing right next to them that is their brow is furrowed. They're looking fairly frustrated and maybe a little angry, but they seem to be bleeding from various parts of the brain. Those are the most humanoid looking ones. There's other individuals who, one has a cat head, another has wings of a bat and fangs, but their face is so in shadowed that that's all you can make out, except when they finally turn to look at you full on, you see red eyes flare. There's another being in this space that just they look like they're made out of gold, like, and they seem to change as they move around. There's another individual who looks a little bit like Bonnie, but just all of the features that made Bonnie an aquatic being seem to be emphasized in this, like beyond reason, beyond a reasonable space. There's another individual who literally has an elongated jaw and teeth, and looks like a creature out of one of Asher's books called a crocodile. You see another being who seems to be entirely made up of paper, and they're writing on themselves. So there's just a ton of different.
Asher's new best friend.
Yeah. There's a woman standing closest to you who has a falcon's head. You can tell that they are feminine, but she looks like a falcon in face. There's other individuals of various sorts. One more. There've been a lot of non-gender applicable people because they don't look like humanoid creatures at all. But there is one person who looks humanoid, but it looks like their gender is changing even as they stand there, and they're holding a huge white double-bladed axe. So you kind of get a sense of that, but it's just so overwhelming that there are so many people in this space or beings in this space, and they all appear extraordinary.
I want to immediately try to dust off a bit and fix my hair, adjust my crown, stand up a little taller, and continue to walk in.
You continue to walk in, and as you walk in, at the center there is a older crone-like figure sitting over a bubbling cauldron that is capped by a shield that's slightly askew, and the shield is being used as the lid. But you can see that there's the bubbling cauldron, and you hear, our sister's joined us. Well, possibly our sister. The beings around you kind of close in, and it's like being at a party that you were clearly the guest of honor, but you did not know you were supposed to show up. It would be cool if it was a surprise party and they were all friends and said surprise, but this is not that type of party. This is like a cocktail party that you didn't know you were supposed to be at, and you showed up in your dusty accoutrements, and yet everyone is just kind of looking to you.
I'm gonna just try to continue to stand up straight and walk more towards the person by the cauldron who just spoke.
As you do, roll a perception check. If you have any auditory advantages, go ahead and roll with advantage.
Ooh, I rolled a 17, so 25.
You hear from someone who has kind of a giant mallet and shield in hand, and way too big. Like, no human can actually lift that and use it.
He's a character from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, exactly. And their weaponry is all made of gold, and you hear them whispering to another individual who seems actually more legitimately attired. They have extremely long hands, which is a little awkward, and it doesn't definitely helps place them in this company. Um, but the being with the gold mallet, and kind of overhear them saying, not quite as quietly as they think that they're saying it. Ah, so that's your counterpart. Doesn't look like much. And then you also hear another individual who's looks like a caricature of what Nee would aspire to be. It looks like everything Nee would want to be, and is in no way close. A beard down to the floor and then wrapped around one of their legs that's covered by a robe. But because the beard is wrapped around the leg, that robe is kind of tucked up a little bit too high, like showing a little bit too much thigh. And you can tell it's too much thigh because it's pale. A staff in hand. A staff in hand. And just kind of this overall air of self-neglect, but not necessarily in a bad way. And they're talking with another individual who is kind of it's the individual that's written all over, and you can see that as the first one speaks, you can't quite make out what they say, but the one that is the figure of writing writes down on the sheet, and you can make it out. It is something you understand, which you're not sure why you understand it, because it does not, the way that it's written, it does not make sense. But you see the words, she's got potential. And you make your way to that person in the center with the cauldron, and you hear her again say, welcome. Settle yourself, everybody. Potential ally in our midst. Welcome. How are you called?
Before I sit down, I want to walk a little further. And just from my brain, what was it that the shadowies said to me whenever we were just in the other room? They were like, what of death was it they said?
Queen
Queen of death is what they said.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to again push my hair back, stand a little straight, and I want to walk in and say, my name is Tanzanite Vernell, and I am the Queen of Death. And then sit down.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check.
Persuasion. Oh, God. Not 20.
There is a bubbling of conversation around the space, and like your words have hit with this grand gravitas, excitement, and you see even those who were maybe not saying the most flattering things kind of sit up a bit and pay more attention, because as you say that, you say it with such confidence and faith that they definitely seem to believe you. And you see the individual at the cauldron smile, and another individual dressed entirely in black, with a gray star on their chest, and it's kind of like the clothing seems to be from like what we would call in real life modern era clothing. But to you, it's just outlandish and strange clothing. And they are probably the simplest of all the beings that you've seen. And they hold out their hand to you, as if to do a handshake. And they just wait.
I reach out towards them.
As you clasp hands and you shake, you for a moment hear the words, I am Aaron, life and death. We share domains. Will you share? And that hand clasp, you do feel both a draw to this individual and a sense of being repelled as well.
What are the shadows around me doing? Like, are they like
They've all
around
kind of like
me?
attached themselves to you very closely and are just kind of creating.
They're still around me though. They're neither pulling away from this individual or going towards them. They're just on me.
They're just part of you almost.
Okay. If I look really deep into his eyes, do I see any form of just like untruth in there?
Okay, roll insight check.
Untrue.
Like malice, kind of.
And depending on how this roll goes, you might have to roll a wisdom saving throw.
18.
I love it. So yeah, you look into his eyes and what you see there, you see a little bit more than just truth or untruth. There is a nakedness to this being's facade where you see definitely that they are being truthful, and that's easy to see. That's easy to see that they're being honest. But with your deeper insights, you can see that they are being constantly in conflict with themselves. They said that they were life and death, but that's got to be a hard path to travel.
Yeah.
This is the type of being who might neglect one for the other because of the conflict that they're facing constantly.
And what were his exact words to me again?
It's something.
If you can recall.
No, it was I am Aram, life and death.
We share domain.
We share a domain.
And his name's Aram?
Yep. Aron.
All right. Aron.
Yeah.
I want to squeeze his hand slightly and just say, it's wonderful meeting you, Aron.
As he lets go of your hand, he bows a bit to you, and looking at your hand, the way that he held it, it was strange. And as he walks away, you can see that he's not really alive and not really dead. There was something about his grip that reminded you of when you were required to go about embalming people after they had been ceremonially exited. And you know that this is some type of crossover being that's not truly a part of your domain. And it makes, I think, you a little bit uncomfortable. The crone-like individual says, Aaron, interrupting? My dear, what is your symbol?
My symbol?
Aye, and she taps the cauldron, and she kind of bangs it with the shield that's over the top of it. I am known for this. And she kind of nods her head back. And the Lich is known for that star. But what are you known for?
I'm not sure.
Well, I'm told you have time. We're all back, finally, back in the world and all seeking our own way to our private realms. So will you join us in this hunt? And perhaps in the pathway of this, you'll find your symbol?
Yes, I'd love to.
I will happily talk with you offline about the rest of what you do, but I'm going to move over to Asher. You are amidst the crew of people claiming to be gods, Tanzanite. Asher, Nee starts dragging you away, and he's just kind of excited, and he keeps looking at you, and his eyes are just... you've always had a interesting relationship with Nee, mostly based on getting his alcohol-soaked body up to a temporary room. But you did learn a lot from this individual.
It's temporary, but he rented it for 11 years.
Temporary for... I mean, he probably sleeps there more than in his ridiculous tower. But every time he looks at you, there's a hint of fear there that wasn't there before. There's also pride mixed into it. And you're not sure, but he keeps side glancing you and then wiping away at his face. But he might be leaking some tears.
Are you okay?
Oh, yes. So good to have you back. We need you to do something, and he's continuing to walk, and he kind of picks up his pace a little bit. If you have questions, ask them on the go. Time to get moving. As he gets ahead of you, you don't catch the familiar scent of Nee. There's no smell of alcohol.
I'm just gonna lean over and he's shorter than me, right?
Yeah.
I have a vision of him as basically like a halfling, but I don't know if he is one.
Yep.
I'm just gonna lean over and smell the top of his head.
Smells like he took a bath recently.
Did you stop drinking?
Apparently it stops your development and you end up falling behind. And don't take up drinking like I did. Moderation is the key.
Did you start showering?
I may have.
Do you have a special friend?
Oh, no. I would... No. I would not...
Come on. What's her name? Come on.
As you jokingly ask him these questions, he just gets quieter and redder. And that you see that fear pick up even more.
Nee.
Yes. His pitch just has warbled
Have you
way
seen
up
my
high.
mom lately?
Yes.
How's she doing?
Quite respectable and lovely and a city to run.
Right.
Here we are, and he just steps into. Yes.
Are you and my mom dating?
Dating is an interesting term. I would have... Look, I would have asked you first.
I'm actually okay with it.
Really?
Yeah, I've been gone 5 years. I'm glad that she wasn't alone, I guess.
Well, she is the most amazing individual in all the realms. She deserves more respect than she's ever been given. And she puts up with me, which means she's the most generous heart out there in the world.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna smack him on the shoulder, be like, "Come on, new dad, what you got for me to do?"
As you say, new dad, you see his shoulder slump, his head crash. He goes, I'm too young to be a father.
I'm gonna lean over and be like, "I'm messing with you. Let's go."
His sweat, his armpits are damp. You can tell that whole thing, like he's just been. Well, we'll see your mother soon if what they say is correct. So come inside, and I set this up for you to see if you could do this. And you walk in, and it's a room that looks like some of Need's old ritual chambers. And you know that he did a million experiments like this, chalk drawn out on floors and crazy sconces and ridiculous ingredients. And like 99% of them did nothing. 0.99% of them did destructive, terrible things. 0.01% of them were miraculous. And those became things that were shared and treasured in the magical arts and academies. But you got close enough to him before in the past to be aware that this type of space is fraught with danger. So I set it up exactly as I was informed. Apparently, I've been going a little overboard usually, so I should have scaled back. But this is for you to I don't know what you do, but focus on your mother. I set one up exactly like it in her tavern.
I'm gonna like walk around the edge of the circle and just like inspect it, like carefully.
It's about 10 feet in diameter, and you can see that unlike his chalk drawings, as you look a little bit more closely at this, this one is fully infused with gems. The chalk isn't chalk; it's actually just gems, and yeah, you can see that this is a very interesting and gorgeous type space, and it seems to be quite expensive.
Can I get some of this chalk?
Yes. And you see him fumbling around in a drawer of drawers over in the corner, pulling out bits and pieces of materials, and he begins bringing them over to you, and he goes, these are rare, expensive chalks and inks. The inks are important, and we've kind of made a tea distillation. I don't understand it totally because this wasn't what I had done in the past, and I was trying to do this, but apparently I can't. Just be aware, it's moderately pricey. And he hands you 2 satchels that have like what we would think of like an inkwell and a loose chalk. And this is enough to cast the spell 4 times. Which I think you know what the spell is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, do you want to try it? We're so excited. Memorize the images here.
Okay.
You'll need those in your mind to come back.
Am I allowed to write them down?
Oh! You know, I always wondered why you wrote everything down in that book of yours, and you actually make the most sense. I have been told that relying on my memory is a terrible idea.
Okay, so first I'm going to take my book out and copy the circle. And then after that, I would like to examine the circle closely to make sure that Nee didn't mess it up by doing it from memory.
Roll an Arcana check.
Bless his heart.
Blossom.
Dirty 20.
Okay. With the dirty 20, you see everything set up correctly, you think. But you realize as you look at it that not all of this is Nee's. You've seen his scrawlings. This is a lot neater, cleaner,
I'm gonna like
more
lean down and
organized.
like just hold my hand over like the other section. Be like, who did this?
Well, I can't claim full credit, but one of those Gith that with your friend is an expert in this type of scientific transfer of matter. And he quirks an eyebrow, and he's got this intensity that is kind of the same level of intensity he had when he had had a few too many drinks and was proselytizing some ridiculous idea.
About them. Do we trust them?
Yes and no. The ones we have here are solid, dependable folk so far. They really helped us with the next generation of our flying gammatrons. I think that's the name we're going to go with, but we still need to workshop it. Somebody mentioned another word that I can't remember what it was called. Anti-ground ship, but that seems like a whole garbledygook.
Gravity?
Oh, a gravity ship?
Anti-gravity ship?
Anti-gravity ship. Yeah, I should show you the material that assists in the ability for them to resist and repel and create their own gravities. Did you know they create their own gravities?
No. I mean, wait, I saw them fighting Trixie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw them turn
Literally
it
throw me
sideways
around.
and throw Trixie into a wall.
Oh, yes, the Gith do that. But the material we've discovered with their assistance actually creates its own gravity as well. So depending on how you lay it within the structure that you build around it, that
So if you like
is
lay it one
always
way, it lifts you
down.
up, and if you flip it over, it pushes you back down?
Yes, but because we're here, you would go down, so you'd go up. Except you might go down if you jumped too low, high. Yes.
Right.
It's exciting. I should do that experiment.
I'm just going to nod and like turn to a fresh page and just write math and then just like close my book.
Awesome. So do you go ahead and cast the incantation, or are you going to...
Yes. Okay, I'm going to... So I got the chalks and inks. What is M? Material. Voice.
Material. That's your chalks and ink.
So I'm just going to stand over, like in the middle of the circle. Is Nee like in the circle?
Nee is outside of it.
I'm just going to be like, I think I get what this does. I'm just going to like motion him to come in.
They didn't want me. Okay. And he steps within.
I'm going to say, I'm like counting syllables in my head with my fingers briefly. I'm going to say, circle of power, take us where we want to go, quickly, in a flash.
And you do that, and it's kind of like it takes you about a minute to finish your can't even find the words, but it takes a minute for you to basically go through the casting the spell, and it's kind of like between the racking your brain and being all set up and everything like that, and just taking that moment, and then a flash, a portal appears in front of you, and you can sense that the it's draining, and you only have moments to get through.
Shall we?
Oh yes, and he scurries through.
Go with him.
About 3 seconds after you go through, your eyes not yet adjusted to the much dimmer space that you're in now. It collapses behind you, and you kind of feel a release as that disconnects, and you're both in kind of a darkened room, and you hear Nee. I thought she would have left a light on, but apparently it's been a week or two. This way, and you can hear him fumbling around, and then he goes, "Oh, but I can," and he finally like lights up some dancing lights around, clearly discombobulated and out of sorts a little bit. And you can see that you're in a room of the tavern that used to be a storage space. The same sigils all drawn out, except they're different. They're different in shape.
I'm gonna say, still feeling that like kind of power bubbling in me. Like I'm gonna reach out and I'm gonna touch a chair, and the chair is just gonna light up because I have a new light cantrip.
Yeah. Oh, that's that makes more sense than those. And as he says that, you see the dancing lights just poof out, and the chair from the light is much stronger and brighter. Okay, well, if we can do this every day, these will become. Well, we are already on the way to that, but they'll become solid. They'll become permanent. Oh. Do your scribblings of the sigils here. Apparently, they're different for every location.
So I'll take my book out and copy this one as well.
Stargate.
And
It's got the 7 symbols, and
to
my
lock
haikus
in
are all
the
about locking
chevrons.
chevrons from now on. Yeah.
So the sound of him just babbling seems to draw some attention, and you hear some steps coming down the stairs. The familiar steps to you. The door creaks open. Nee, did you? Oh, and your mother sees you.
I'm just gonna like run to her and like hug her because
It's kind of a mutual running.
Even though I skipped 5 years, it's still been like I think a few weeks at least since I've seen her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a little bit, and she just hugs you and says, "I'm so sorry for not telling you." And she's like kind of like babbling apologies, and it's kind of a onslaught of motherly affection, but in a very like truly caring way. It's just that she's definitely she feels some guilt over how you last parted.
It's okay. I mean, things seem to have mostly worked out, I guess.
Where's the gift? They usually have to come with. How are you going to get back? It's.
I did that.
Just as she's about to go into lecture mode and her eye gaze had turned to Nee, you kind of see her deflate a little bit and look at you just astounded.
I mean, I didn't draw the circle, but they showed me how, and then I just used it.
You are more powerful than... Oh, there's something I need to tell you, and her eyes dart to Nee.
Yeah, I found out already. He was being weird.
And he smells nice.
And he smells nice.
Well, he can't be in my rooms without showering. Come along, and she takes you up to eat. Okay, so here I would like to take a...
Grizz isn't here to cook for me because he was at the other place.
Nope. It's your mom's cooking, which...
I get all the syrup.
I would like to, before I leave, I'm definitely going to just throw in there that I'm going to grab as much syrup as I can carry before I go back.
Aww.
So what I'm going to say is we take a break. How long a break do we need?
I need time to write a commercial and...
Just enough to use the potty and grab a snack.
So are we good with like 15 minutes? Come back
Yeah.
at 45?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
45, yeah.
All right. Thank you all for watching us. We will be back after these messages from our non-existent sponsors.
Mwah!
Okay. I can't believe I say this type of junk. I'm so terrible. Hello and welcome back to Probability of Demise. Our friend is not quite back yet, but we are going to go ahead and go with the commercial that Jason provided as our introduction. Oh, she's back, so I'm going to add her into this little thing. She's back. Did you full on take a shower in the break?
No, I just got really cold, and the only thing near me was a bathrobe, so I put it on.
Oh, I fully was like, how do you shower so fast? I am not that quick.
No, I went and got a coffee.
That makes sense. Okay, so I guess I'm reading this, so bear with me as I stumble through words. I have a feeling that this might be a future problem, but it'll be good for right now, right? You know. I have to take a breath. Do you constantly have one earring but not the other? Do you misplace your wedding ring all the time? Is your stash of tiny baggies of ditchweed just sitting out visibly on the coffee table trying to get you arrested? Not anymore. Sure, you could put all your valuables in your sock drawer like normal people, but why do that when you can have a bunch of drawers that get increasingly smaller until they actually reach the point of being utterly useless? With our new patented infinity drawer system from POD Technologies, you can hide drawers within drawers within drawers. Beginning with a chest the size of a shoebox, each container contains yet another container even smaller than the last. Using the most advanced computer numerical control woodworking equipment, we've created the smallest drawers so small that they are invisible to the human eye. Even though Bob at the factory knocked over a stack of inventory, they are probably even still in there. Hide your valuables in dozens of layers of drawers, making them impossible for criminals to find, and also pretty difficult for you to find as well. Even police dogs can't figure out how to get at what's inside of the drawer. For liability reasons, this is definitely not a good reason to buy infinity drawers. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. At this point, you're probably trying to visualize it. How do infinity drawers work? We have no idea. They just do. Stop asking so many questions. Get your infinity drawers today for only $199.99. If you pay cash, round up to an even $200. Don't be a dick about it. Infinity drawers.
That was amazing.
Thank you, Jason. That was actually
Both the writing and the, delivery.
I had to practice it. I think Larissa or Jason, I don't know who, one of them
I
commented.
saw you going nuts, and then I was like, "You're on mute." And then I realized you were practicing, and I
definitely had to practice that because that was I was reading that script and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to stumble over every word here. This is fun." All right, so we are all back. Are you all ready to get back into this?
Oh, yeah.
So we are hitting the point which I had mentioned in our previous stream, where we're going to do a time jump. And in D&D, you can do this all the time. This is called a downtime space. There's a ton of different downtime activities. Jess sent me some information about what Tanzanite would do. Larissa sent me some information about what Trixie would do, I think. I don't remember. Probably not. So she's going to be forced to make it up on the spot if she doesn't have it in her head already. And Jason sent me a little bit of information on what Nasha would do, but I also don't remember.
This is why I have nightmares about not knowing that there were or forgetting to bring homework, because
I literally had one of those last night.
Life.
This is just the flip. Last time it was Jess who didn't share what her character had done, so we had to make it up. Or she forced me to make it up today.
It's not that I didn't think about it. I just didn't send you anything. And
not only did I think about mine, I had details. I was like, I want this, and then I want this, and then I want this.
There was a ton. I mean, it was just brilliant, absolutely magical. I'm so surprised that
it'll probably never happen again. But I was prepared this time.
Ouch. So if you've played D&D before, you'll know what downtime activities are probably, but if you don't, or you never had an opportunity to do downtime activities, there's a ton of things that you can say that your character got up to when we do a time jump. So we're going to time jump for our season 2 to 1 year from the reappearance of our 3 heroes. And in that time jump, we are going to have some fun things happen. I do want to just, as an aside, mention that Zuchi has left during this
The
period
building.
of time and gone to his own people, having been summoned there when a series of envoys arrived. So one of the things that will have happened during that time, and if you had a piece that you wanted to share in terms of that, you are more than welcome to. But about a year will have transpired. I will share some little moments that would happen based on my D100 rolls, none of which were as tragic as the original D100 rolls. There have been numerous attacks where members of other pantheons or upstart groups who wish to become members of certain pantheons and extraplanar beings who are trying to get messy in the world have all, for one reason or another, shown up and recruited allies, many of which were very strange, twisted beings from other continents. The kind of if you thought things were strange on this continent, they're even stranger in the more the less safe, the less protected zones of the world. And so some of those have shown up, and nobody fully understands where they've come from. Even the people that have become allies as over the course of this year, more and more allies seek mutual aid and assistance. Zuchi's people send an envoy as well, and some members of Overton's community, some of the prominent members of that community, have departed, much as Tanzanite's mother departed and Trixie's father departed before you arrived, reaching out and developing different relationships with individuals and kind of discovering more of the world in a bit of a way. Nothing like conflict to promote industry and communication. So there's been a flurry of industrial activity in your absence, but there's also been a flurry of advancement and communication, and a little bit more understanding of the overall world has occurred. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask me. And if it's something that you would easily have been able to find out during your time, we can do that. If there's stuff that you would like to have happened, feel free to promote it, because I love to have that promoted. This is a shared story building thing. So if there's something you would love to have happened or have occurred, we can make it happen in this space and in this discussion. And otherwise, we're just going to go through and kind of share one at a time what we thought our characters would get up to. If there's a point in which you think your character would have become involved in what somebody else is doing, just feel free to share that, and we can kind of figure out how that would have worked out. And we can always retcon different pieces and different things. So don't feel like you have to be absorbed in somebody else's story. It's a year. It's a lot of time. Again, for those people who play D&D, this is a time where you might actually build a fortress with your party, or go investigate and what it takes to make some magical items and other things like that. So there's some actual set out pieces in the player's handbook about what you can do during downtime, or is it in the DM's guide? I don't remember which one it is in, but in the DM's guide or that there, and I'm way more open than that. So if there's some crazy idea you have that you think your character would try to accomplish in a year, let's go for it. Okay.
As a group, we built a fighter jet one year.
Okay.
No,
Roll a
not really.
D100.
Not really. I don't want to waste my time doing that.
Okay. So Tanzanite.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of this year, you worked on a few different things. You've met the gods and started to navigate their spaces and speak with them. If there is something you in particular would have been trying to do with them, feel free to articulate that. If there's a specific god you would have sought out, remember this is a story of our own creation, so you can make up one. Then I have to write it down and add it to my list of potential gods. And there's also, you indicated that you think you would have done a bit of missionary work, collecting some followers and kind of codifying the belief system.
Yeah. Okay, so the gods in particular, I would have wanted to find kind of the gods that had anything to do with life, death. If there's a god that, is a bridge between the two, even that. As well as any other gods as well. But those would be the ones that I would seek first, because they would be
Okay.
more... I feel like they'd be more aid in my discovery of, like, what I am.
Awesome. So
Oh.
do you want me to kind of share a bunch of those?
Hold on, she froze.
Oh, great. She's an ice cream cone.
In the background, I heard a chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken.
The
And she's
roosters.
back. Okay.
Sorry, yep.
Okay.
I paused. I was like, and I'm gone.
Okay, so you met Aron, who was kind of
Yep.
this strange, conflicted being, and I think over the course of time you would have discussions. Dagda is probably the most forthcoming with you and sharing that she is responsible for weather and crops, which she shares that domain with others, and she's while she is definitely a beneficiary god, she likes to get up to mischief. She likes to mess around. She loves things like rainstorms right when you've just planted your seeds so that they get washed away and you have to replant, because she likes that people work at that. But she doesn't truly do devastating things, because then you find the washed seeds have sprouted up in a whole new field that you didn't even have cultivated. So she's kind of like a little trickster and nature sort of being. But she kind of becomes, I would say, over the course of time, the one most likely to be your outside of the crew that you're seeking out, the person you can probably get back to the most often. You met Aron, and Aron kind of seems to disappear for times. Other gods, and especially Dagda, mentioned that he's a little bit... the time in as a banished being has not done him any favors, and seems to have twisted him into something that is very strange and kind of makes them uncomfortable, but then they aren't very comfortable around you either. So it could be just chalked up to being within the domain of death. As far as beings of life, you meet a goddess of rivers and livestock. She seems very concerned with just like where Dagda worries about crops, this individual worries more about farmed creatures, which she's very concerned that there aren't large herbivores in this continent, and she's set herself to restoring those types of beings to the space. You also meet a god who says that they're a god of life, but they're Dienchet, and they really care about preserving life, almost to the point of infringing on your territory or your beliefs with regard to death being a natural place. So they're very much invested in healing and nature.
What was their name?
That was Dienchet. Then there is a couple of kind of like what I think you end up classifying as life gods that are focused on crafts and craftsmanship and things along those lines. And that one that you remember, the two that were talking, and one was they're just having a conversation back and forth, but the one with the really long hands also really loves the arts and travel. So that's part of their whole life space and what they focus on. In terms of gods of death, you run into one that refused to share its name with you, but seems very much to align themselves with the idea that death is natural and must happen, and things that interfere with death make them very upset. And they have a black ram's head, but they absolutely don't share their name at any point, and it almost, even if it becomes a game for you to try to find out what their name is, they seem to be holding off on that. There's also another one with a jackal-like head that is a god of death, and there is a few others mixed in. One introduces themselves as Ball, and they say that they are invested in murder. They focus on deaths that occur through murder, and they definitely have a darker than the dark of death side to them. There's another individual who really wants to work with you. Like they seem like they are like they recruit followers for you, as that's one of the other things you're doing. And their name is Kellenvor, and they are all about judging people's deaths. Did they live a life that was of value? Is there anything left undone? And they're very much about balancing out the good and evil of what people have done. There's one that kind of disappears really, really quick, Loviatar, who is all about pain, and inflicting pain and the pain that occurs during death. And she's definitely got a focus on that. There's a bunch of other ones. Merkel, just kind of general individuals. Shar, who kind of likes to mess around a little bit and is a bit of a jokester. There's another one that is focused almost in the antithesis of the individual who worries about Diane. I can't say her name. Diane. Words. Come on, Rourke. Use your words. The Diane Chet, the one who is kind of preserving life at everything else's cost in some ways. This other individual is interested in death, but observes and monitors death through disease and poison, and seems very intent on protecting and caring for and propagating diseases and poisons in the world. So you end up finding out a whole bunch of different ones in those different spaces. And you learn that there's even more, and some who've become unaligned or are not being involved in these things, and others that are actively opposing the current order. They want to establish themselves as direct rulers. And this group that you're kind of indoctrinated into, that kind of seeks you out, and for the most part, with a few others that kind of seem to disappear every once in a while, this group really wants to create a space that fosters the independence of the people on the world. They want to provide structures that help people be successful and to do what they need and want. And that seems to be their overarching goal as a group. Some of them misinterpret different pieces of that from each other, and there end up being arguments about what free will actually means. And there's a lot of philosophical debates in terms of that. Often they turn to you and ask you what you think, since you grew up and are not a god at this point. But they also seem very certain that you will become one or be killed. And there's a little bit of certainty around that that's a little intimidating and frightening, but otherwise this is just kind of like what happens with those different pieces. How much time do you want to spend with this group versus how much time developing your followers versus doing other pursuits?
I would probably say the majority of the year, like at least 7-8 months with them, probably 6 months with them.
So half
like
the year.
Yeah, so like really getting to know each of them individually, and as like getting to know them as much as like they'll kind of allow / I can get out of other people. And then I want to spend like 3-4 months getting followers, and then the last like month or two honing in with those new followers who we are, what we do, how we practice, getting that fundamental work down.
Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to roll a d20 and add 6 to it.
Okay. All right.
For the 6 months.
D20. It's like a modifier of 6.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Ooh.
It's not a tumor.
Okay, so I rolled a 19. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Wow. So you are extremely successful in your navigating with the gods and figuring out, and you gain 25 individuals within that cohort who you feel like are allies to you. I'll send you a list of just names, and you can choose 25 that make the most sense that you feel like are your true allies. And if you have a couple that you want to make up yourself, which is totally awesome, then let's make those ones up, and we can add those to the mix of the
screaming
25.
goats. That should be your made-up ones.
Two large screaming goats.
Sorry, Rurik hasn't seen the newest Thor yet, but
I want to see it, but I'm not going to be able to see it until I move to Portland, which is, I think, where I'm going to end up at this point. Although I really want to be in Bremerton because I would like to go to Seattle, and it would be so pleasant to be in Bremerton. But I haven't heard back from. Never mind. Getting off topic.
Us never.
We can share post session. So I'm going to pause there with the 6 months Tanzanite, and I'm going to go to the others, and we'll come back to you for the last 6 months, just in case there's some.
Love it. Yeah, if I want to like jump in and be like, wait, no, I want to do that.
Yeah.
FOMO.
So, Trixie,
I take a 2-week vacation and go with Trixie.
Trixie, what do you get up to?
Well, obviously a lot of kind of what Trixie is that her body is kind of her weapon. So she, after kind of discovering these new abilities that don't really center around her body, she's exploring that, but because she's not exactly trustful of the Gith, she doesn't like she'll train with them, but it's more kind of out of necessity than out of like passion, or like, you know what I mean? Like it's a means to an end. Something she would want. Am I talking super loud? Sorry, I feel like
no,
I'm
you're fine.
Am I yelling?
No,
something else that I think would be really meaningful to her is to start going on missions. Like there's kind of like the military group that Tanzanite's father is involved with, which I have a feeling her father was kind of also involved with right before he went off.
Tanzanite's father.
Trixie's father.
Okay, Trixie's father, definitely, and he's gone.
Right.
But I think what you find in just even starting to seek them out is they're already seeking you out. And maybe one day Asher takes you to Overton, and you find out that where Canyonville was kind of a industrial hub of raw resource gathering and packaging, Overton has transformed. The areas that were more impoverished have been transformed into multi-storied buildings that are producing tons and tons of weaponry and war tools. They're not creating the innovative things, which are still happening at the Mage Academy and over at the Tinkerers Academy, but the center of town has transformed from, I mean, with the exception of a couple of the taverns and a couple of guild halls, has transformed from a idyllic space to kind of mid-high rises of manufactories and residences, cramped quarters and strange spaces, but all done with military precision. Very, it's like you could never have people in cramped quarters like that unless it is under a military structure that keeps it organized, that keeps it clean, that keeps people accountable. So it's very much a militarized zone within the center of Overton, and they seek you out quite quickly as the child of someone who became a major figure before he left, and they definitely are open to whatever. What are you going to seek out from them?
Well, I mean, I would have started to at least I guess, assist, but not as like a leader or even necessarily as a fighter, kind of like in a combat medic role. Specifically, this is going to seem silly, but to like to go out and discover more. Like I really want to lean into like kind of like the herbalist side of like my medicine and kind of blend what both of my parents taught me. But I'm gonna make it even more niche, and I'm gonna make it so that the herbs and medicines are kind of they're not quite health potions, but what I would like to do is to create tinctures and infusions with maple syrup. Think 5-hour energy health potions.
Yeah. No,
So-
you're doing the G fuel of
Yeah,
maple syrup.
but it's less like the energy thing is like the byproduct of the sugar and the maple syrup, but the sugar is there to override the taste of like the bitterness of the herbs and such. And so I would like to start exploring that, so that the health potions, I understand health potions are more of like a magic thing. I
Mhm.
would like to try to develop the herbal equivalent that could provide that type of health gain, but like from a plant side of it. And in terms of how that kind of influences how Trixie looks, like throughout the year, her body leans out a little bit more so that she appears taller, but she's not. Like
Yeah.
she's just a little bit lankier because her her body's more refined. She's growing up. She's losing a little bit of her baby fat. But she has a giant sash, and they're essentially like vials of like different tinctures, but they're all like essentially maple syrup shots.
Nice.
Um,
She's become the
so
Rambo
it's-
of maple syrup.
yeah, exactly.
You're basically the old potion lady from Fisherton, but you just have a stand of maple syrup drinks.
Yeah. And then
So-
the one, go ahead.
So, just really for this, for focusing on this, do you recruit from your mother's crew of people? Do you recruit from the military? Do you recruit just average citizens? Most of the young people are either everybody in some way is engaged in the defense of Overton and the relationships with other what are becoming known as little city states and stuff. But is there a particular group that you're recruiting from, or is
I think
this
sorry to interrupt. I think what I would envision is she would probably recruit the two most knowledgeable from her mother's side that would be willing to go on, like, essentially gathering missions,
Yeah.
harvesting missions, and then as well as anybody from the military side or even the civilian side that would be interested in kind of filling in that same type of role of like a combat medic, so that she's essentially training like at least one that could go with a unit kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that would be able to take care of themselves and protect, the people that they're trying to heal.
Imagine you're stabbed on the battlefield and someone just dumps this sticky ass drink on you, like, I heal you.
No, not as like a topical, as a tonic.
Okay, so what I would like you to do is I would like you to roll 3 persuasion checks because you're recruiting from kind of 3 different groups.
Okay.
Just tell me which group you're recruiting from with each roll.
This is not going to go well. Persuasion. I am not charismatic.
This is a scaled thing, so the only thing that would be bad is a 1.
Do you need to bring your friend with you to convince people to help?
No.
Yes.
that is
ring in
a
the face?
you decision. That is not me. That is not a me decision.
Well, you could go and recruit, but just give me what...
I would probably start with my mom's
Okay.
Group.
So what'd you get for them?
For persuasion, base is a 12. 14.
Okay. You're not able to get the older members of the group. They very much dedicated themselves to the current efforts. But your mom buys into this. She likes this idea. She likes the idea of folks having quick remedies available to them. And so she tasks 3 of her junior leaders. So 3 individuals who she's definitely cultivating to become individuals who run medical units to work with you. And those 3 join you on these adventures, and they are very competent. They don't quite have the same level of martial skill that you possess, but even as you train them, they become much more adept, and it's apparent that you're going to kind of achieve what you're looking for. Could you roll for the military group now?
Ooh. 21.
Oh.
Daddy's legacy is a heavy influence.
I'd say there's that. There's also sympathy because they haven't seen your father, and they're actually looking for anything that can give them an edge. That these are not people who are. They're not trying to make an economic profit, so they're willing to sink resources into something that's going to give them success in defending their peoples in all the different spaces that they're at. So you end up getting a bit more in terms of resources, and positively or negative, one of those resources is Grant's Brands gets behind you and your efforts.
Of course.
And they provide you with all the transportation you could ever need. You actually end up becoming pretty adept, and I will say that you gain proficiency in piloting a airship.
Nice.
as Grant's Brand has access to 3 of the cargo style ones, and you learn various things with a few military members. They don't send you a lot of individual bodies. They want them for the defense, but they provide a ton of resources to your group, as well as trainers available for your group when they're back at Overton or in Canyonville or at some of the other sites that they've started interacting with. And you gain a much broader reach of the continent through that. And I will share the map with you all later. But yeah, you gain a much broader reach of the space and just what you can and can't get to. So resources become not a problem as far as getting them. And what was the last group that you were trying to reach out to?
Just civilians who would be interested in kind of taking on that like intermediary role, that
Okay.
want to be like more involved, but like don't necessarily subscribe to the military life, but still, want to be helpful but don't also want to be a full-time healer.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll. If you hit, there's a special group that if you hit a 15 or higher, you'll have access to.
I rolled a
Ooh, get 'em.
natural. I rolled a natural 19, so that's a 21 again.
Okay, good rolls, solid rolls. You don't even need to go visit Asher to go get some help with recruitment at this point.
Yeah.
You do initially recruit a few individuals who are too unfit to engage in military practices and unsuccessful in that space. But one of them says to you at some point that there's a group of widows, military widows. And male, female, otherwise, there's this group that have been hurt by the attacks over the last 5 years. And they direct you to the former parents of your colleagues at the circle at the center of the village that started off everything. Because their children are gone to them, basically. They're vegetables. And they've formed a protective union. And they don't trust anybody. And you see your values align in that. They'll use folks, but they're after the protection of themselves, their families, their world. Their mayor betrayed them in the past. The world has betrayed them now. And they are extremely both conservative in regard to trust, but liberal in terms of working for each other and for just themselves. And they create kind of a production network. The older widows that you first run into, they kind of become the core of your experiment team, And with that, I will let you roll with advantage based on your other rolls on creating some maple syrup healing serums of super energy. So go ahead and roll a this. Are you proficient in
Oibalism?
herbalism, herbal kits?
Yes.
Alchemy?
Syrup.
Okay. So go ahead and roll. Are you proficient in syrup? That would be a yes. So go ahead and roll with your.
One might say I'm an expert.
They'll probably
Yeah.
taste good. Who knows if they'll work?
You roll with your proficiency bonus.
Okay. Form over functionality. Okay. Great, but that would be 17.
Okay. With a 17, I would say you design production for healing potions at a basic level. You've basically industrialized basic healing potion making. And you have developed a pathway of study to more robust potions. So you have your little stash of tinctures, and a portion of those will be basic healing potions.
Yeah.
And those become something that's heavily industrialized by Grand's brand, which is a direct handoff to the military. In the course of this, you grow to understand that there has been a currency of exchange unified and codified by the alliances that have come up, and we will continue to use D&D's gold and such for that, but it's paper versions, it's paper gold. It isn't truly of value in and of itself. It's the belief that it is going to have value, that just like our money does.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to deal with encumbrance around how much gold you have in your pockets, because that's annoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are very successful in getting that started. Now I want you to roll with advantage another of these herbalism checks, but this isn't necessarily pure herbalism because it's your getting the energy component in there.
Okay.
If you roll a 10 or above, you will have an energy drink of sorts. And we'll figure out what that means. If you roll a 15 or above, you can infuse it into a health potion.
Okay.
If you roll a 20 or above, we will roll on a table for what kind of weird effects are available.
So this is just a roll with my proficiency bonus still?
Yes.
Because it's herbalism?
Yes.
Okay. So because my proficiency is 4, I need to get a 17 if I want to, like, 16 if I want to roll over 20. Okay. 16.
16.
Ah.
Yeah. It's all right. The other
so
one was a nat 1, so I'll take the 16.
You're successful in gaining the ability to create energy drinks and to infuse those energy drinks into a health potion to create kind of like a
Pick me up.
It definitely gets appropriated by the military for their use almost exclusively, but as the maker of it, you do get access to being able to get it. And if you can't make it yourself, if you don't have the time to make it yourself, you do have the privilege of purchasing from what is becoming presented as the Medical Core Potions Guild.
You may have just inadvertently created Vietnam soldiers on methamphetamine.
No. No.
But let's ignore that part because, like, that can be
too real.
That can be an issue for future struggles, because that actually it could be a future struggles. Your next set of characters that you roll might have to deal with the consequences of amped up potions.
Why is the road to hell paved with good intentions?
Oh my gosh, so many. And then what I'll say for the other piece that you didn't succeed in, that the research is there, and you have a research pathway that you could work towards making new potions. And the group that you work with during this year is actively engaged in that, and it will depend on like how much you continue to support and be involved in their work, whether or not their new avenues of research become something you have access to or not. But you have successfully established over the course of time. Is there anything else you would try to be doing?
I guess one caveat to that is I would like to require that I be the only person who tests new products because I am immune to poison.
So go ahead and roll a persuasion check on that.
And
And do it with disadvantage because of who you brought on.
Asher! Can I phone a friend?
So do you go, like, how I would narrate this is like you are trying to fight for the right to be the only test subject,
I have a
and they are
question.
trying to overrule
Risk
you.
my
Do you go to
life.
Asher and get him to come over and help argue
I mean,
your case?
it's kind of like the trade-off that I want to make for my knowledge and the ability to mass produce this is that they like maybe like a some sort of magical binding contract or something, or like the punishment is super severe if they're found for having gone against it. But basically, I don't want anybody to be put at risk for the stuff that I'm trying to do besides myself. Does
I
that
have a
make sense?
question.
It makes sense.
If
You're just
immune to
convincing a
poison-
military establishment and a medical establishment to limit
Not
their,
abuse.
If you're
but to
immune
limit
poison,
any innovation to only being able to be tested on you, which is
Yes.
a limited resource. You are a
Feel
single
free to send it
limited
by
resource.
mail.
if you're immune to poison, you wouldn't know if it was poisonous.
But I mean, whether or not it actually heals is what I would figure out.
Versus killing
That
on the
is true.
spot.
Trixie does test on animals, sort of.
Huh?
You test on animals exclusively.
Also, in response,
One.
I am the maple cover or the maple glazed bacon is reserved only for me. That is not something I'm going to share. I mean, I'm sure other people do it, but I'm not going to incorporate that into the quote unquote line of products. I'm not trying to like become 5-hour energy or anything like that. It's more like this is just something that I figured could help people in general, and so
I'm
So-
exhausted. I need a 5-hour maple bacon bar.
Asher,
Yeah.
are you going to help Trixie convince them to
I mean, if she wants my help.
make her the exclusive testing subject?
Does she want my help?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so how so with Asher there arguing on your behalf, I will let you roll just a straight roll for persuasion. You're before this whole group of people who are seeking out to create new innovative products based on your original ideas. Just a straight roll, not disadvantaged now.
You can do it. I give you bardic inspiration.
You could give me bardic inspiration. Wait, how?
Since we're not like actually, I didn't do it because we're not like
Yeah, you're
playing
just-
it out. But I'm just saying
yeah,
I give it to you.
Bardic inspiration.
Oh. So that's what, a D8?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's still a D8. Let me check.
Before
I don't think
roll.
it's a D10 yet, but get in there.
D10. Yep.
D10?
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm growing up. I'm a big bard now.
I'm a big bard.
bard now.
I'm a big bard. I feel like that could be a song.
Okay.
I'm a big
Who's a
bad
nerd
bard.
rapper that could do that?
Oh, actually, so the straight roll without my so with my modifier it would be 22 because
Okay, and the D10.
the D10 was a 7, so I rolled a 13 plus 7 plus my persuasion modifier is 2.
Okay.
Yes,
You're
so
rolling
22.
against them, so they're going to roll right now.
Oh God.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
You successfully convince them to have you be used as the person for prototypes, with the caveat
Hmm?
that should they discover someone with similar capabilities as yourself, that they can then broaden their testing procedures.
With my approval. I'm happy.
Roll
I have
another
to review.
persuasion check.
Yeah. With disadvantage? I'm assuming.
Do you have Asher with you still?
I would assume so.
Okay.
It's like
Let's
it's like
just-
I feel like it's a
uh,
negotiation.
exactly.
It
yeah.
is. You're,
Like,
you're,
I'm her
like, you're like
lawyer.
sitting there.
I'm a lawyer. We're at
having
the
a-
board table.
Yeah.
All right. 17.
They rolled a 21.
Damn it!
Ugh.
Oh, I should have
So-
inspired you again. Sorry.
So what I'll say is that they are adamant that they need to be able to move quickly, and if you are incapacitated or missing again, they're unwilling to take the risk of not being able to continue to improve things.
Stupid big pharma.
You started a snowball, and it became too big for them to be willing to fully abandon options should things get messy. Interestingly, Grand's brand sides with you and says that they will not sell anything that hasn't been Trixie tested. And that becomes a new brand, Trixie tested and approved.
I hate this so much.
That's what you get for being a good guy.
Apparently, just wanted to do something to help
If you're going
people.
for alliteration, it could be Trixie tested, Asher approved.
Oh, that'd be funny. Okay. Asher.
I hate
Yes.
humans. I hate humanity.
Even,
Is that why
even-
you're a squirrel?
even fake fantasy
No,
humanity?
but
Even faux humanity that
fomanity.
humanity.
For the foe.
The problem is, Trixie or Larissa, is this is actually very real. This is kind of what would happen. Somebody comes up with an amazing innovative product and then they try to put stopgaps on it and then everybody pushes against the stopgaps, right? It's ridiculous. And you know somebody out there is going to try to experiment and get away with murder.
You know,
anyways.
I play D&D for escapism, right?
I know. It's a little too real.
Stop.
Asher, what do you get up to?
Oh wait.
Just let me be a cute, convincing squirrel.
1 year of naps. No, I have a list. First, I would like to work on learning Draconic
Ooh.
because I've run into Draconic several times and couldn't read it, and that would bother Asher a lot. So now that he has like downtime, he's gonna try to do that, especially now that there's like real dragons in the world.
Yeah. Do you seek anybody's help in finding this, or are you trying to do it all on your own?
I mean, I think I would probably go to like my go-to people, like me, maybe my mother. Also, another thing on my list is traveling to as many like of the teleporting hubs as I can to like learn the symbols. So I think I could like seek out like libraries and things in these towns and cities. And, like,
Okay.
find resources if I needed to.
Yeah, I feel like that's a great set of things. I think at one point, you, especially since you said your mother and asking your mother, you find out and are redirected to Tanzanite, who directs you to one individual that she met who looks very familiar to you, Asher. Just you've not seen them in a humanoid form. It is, you discover as you eventually gaining access and learning from them and getting directed towards different texts and things. This is the dragon that was underneath Overton, but they've taken on a humanoid form.
Hello, Elmadrad?
Yeah. They are. Yeah, that's a great memory. But they are.
He's been rewatching. Don't give him that much credit.
Yeah, I would rewatch too. I constantly rewatch and I still forget things.
You got a lot more to remember than we do.
I don't rewatch. I listen every time I walk my dogs. I listen, so I get like 20 minutes a day of our podcast.
Hey, it's a good refresher, I guess. So yeah, you get which I have to publish the one from last time today. You get Draconic
Yay!
proficiency in writing and reading,
Where do I add you?
and this is kind of like a study thing. So as long as you're doing it over the course of the year, you'll get that proficiency, especially with the access that you have. You'll add that to your proficiencies on the sheet. I can help you with that later if you need.
Okay.
What else are you up to?
I would like to learn to play the ukulele instead of that giant thing I was trying to carry around before.
Awesome. You know where the spaces are to pick those things up. I have a feeling that this kind of coincides with your tavern crawling, finding new locations that do or do not have traced out spaces. The only two that are on their way to becoming permanent, and you actually end up being recruited and participating in making these permanent locations, are in Overton and Canyonville. There are inscribed but not yet permanent hubs in several other locations, which I will share with you afterwards. That if people can be recruited to do it for an entire year, if they cast the spell in the same place using that inscribed space, those will become permanent. I think because you become involved in that process, you find out that the Gith are the ones who are putting together this network. They finished Overton, they finished Canyonville, and they were starting the process in other places. And it means that the Gith kind of leader is constantly leaving to try to refresh one that they've only gotten two, and they're almost done with a third. With your help, they're able to actually alleviate some of the pressure, and they can actually work on a fourth that will become permanent. The other ones require the sprinkling of the gems and the ink each time, but there are two permanent ones that can be reached to, and a bunch of developing ones. And if you dedicate that spell each day of this year to solidifying that fourth one, I'll say that there are 4 permanent ones. So that's up to you. Anything else that you get up to during that time?
So my big thing, I would like to start a Bard's Guild. I want to use it as like a network. Just like Asher, like just with his group, like discovered all these issues in these little places that they went. Like he wants to have a network of people that are just out and traveling and like reporting back to like a central hub, to like just like eyes out in the world, basically like an information network. And then he would like to try to hire Monray and Fawn to run like the office of the Bard's Guild.
Okay. Cool.
Miss M. Monray.
I think in the course of this, you find out that Miss M gave up her life to protect Fisherton before Fisherton was destroyed.
Sad.
Fawn is still alive. And interestingly enough, it's funny you chose those names because I had to roll some stuff on both of those characters. Fawn's already begun this work. She feels like Monray just didn't have the vision for what could have been, and she's taking what she was taught and perpetuating it out. You're joining with her and helping her in this process and recruiting her and hiring her into this, and with the hurt that she feels regarding the death of Miss M, you gain an ally in this work. Having gained that ally, and interestingly enough, chosen someone who I had already rolled as pursuing creating an information network.
Go me.
Congrats. Feel like you read my notes. They're not online though, so I don't know how that's possible. Just flew out here for a second.
Very sneaky, sir.
So could you roll? I want you to roll a deception check with advantage because she's working with you to see if you're able to establish this network. And it's going to be leveled.
$24.
Shouldn't make these things leveled. Okay. Thank goodness you didn't roll a 25.
My deception modifier, in fairness, is much lower than my other modifiers.
Yeah, I knew it was lower. That's why I wanted you to do deception, because you're trying to create this network. So, with the exception of your mother, who happens into one of your early planning sessions, nobody else knows about what the true purpose is.
Mom, I'm with my friends. Get out.
Nobody else is aware of the purpose of the new Bard's Guild that gets set up.
I would also tell Trixie and Tanzanite because they're my BFFs.
Okay. What do you want to name this place? Or you can send that to me later if you want to think about it.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that.
But yes, you establish an information network. It's early days as you train them in both of you training them in this space. And you get pulled away to do teleport work and to practice your draconic, but you do establish a beginnings of this network.
And
Cool.
Then, as like a subplot to that, I would like to continue trying to gather information about the Githzerai and their like motivations and intentions, because I don't trust them.
Okay, for that, I want you to roll a couple of different things. Okay, first, I want you to roll insight. This is a
14.
choose your own adventure thing.
14.
What did you say? Did you say 48?
14.
Oh,
I heard 48.
11 to 1.
11 to 1.
11th birthday.
So I think you find the first Githzerai to be pretty open and honest, but you don't trust that instinct. So you have a choice of continuing to directly ask them or to send someone to, or yourself, to kind of spy on the Githzerai and the various things. You have access because you're working with them on the teleportation stuff, but
I think I will take opportunities as they arise to like ask them questions and like learn about them, but also it will be like a standing directive of my Bard's Guild information gathering to like continue to gather information on them.
Okay, so then what I want you to roll is I want you to roll an investigation check for yourself.
15.
Okay, and I want you to roll a I feel like this has to be performance because you getting your group to do what you wish them to do, but I also know that you will roll really high. But so roll a performance check just to see how hard your group works so I can roll for them how much success they do or don't have.
It's a 7. I thought it was a 1 for a second, so that's a dirty 20.
That a 7 is a dirty 20 in his
He's
rolls.
broken.
It is so awesome,
Busted.
but it's
Oh no,
awesome.
it's
Okay, can
Asher.
you
He's
roll?
broken.
What did you say? It's dirty 20. Can you roll 2d4s so I can figure out how many people are actively engaged in this?
Five.
Put that one back. Okay. Well, they're new. That makes sense. One individual seems to be very successful in embedding themselves in the Githzerai's entourages, and you have one individual who's embedded in their work. The others don't successfully become involved, although one does discover that they have an adversary that they haven't shared with you all, and does share that back to you. But you basically have one agent besides yourself deeply embedded with the Githzerai. Okay. As far as utility of that, be creative. Also, I will say that if it comes to needing to do an investigation check on the Githzerai in the future, you will have intelligence, which gives you advantage on that investigation check again. As far as insight checks, it'll depend on the situation. Okay.
One final thing.
Okay.
Whatever happened to the charmed guy that was walking, the guard that was walking to...
Oh my god.
I did roll on this. I wanted to see what it would be.
Do I want to know how many rolls it took before he finally broke?
Since we canoned that it was an insurmountable charm that lasted forever, I decided to do a couple of rolls that were based on what happened to him. And like, he's now known as the Wanderer. And the Wanderer became the avatar of another being.
Oh.
So he got.
He's the Moon Knight.
Oh.
I knew it.
Yeah, so I think depending on who you talk to or asked, you might find out from Trixie or somebody else that he, and with your network growing, that the Wanderer has become fairly well known for wandering the roads, and has no memory of their past.
Interesting. I don't know if I would connect that to that guy, but it was more from my knowledge than Asher's. But I was just
Well,
curious.
I think that if Asher was actually willing to investigate, I think that this is meta knowledge for all of you because it's fun and funny, and I had rolled all these things on it. He seems to have crazy luck in not being in bad situations while traveling, but every time he stops, something bad happens to him. So he's uncertain of his purpose and his goal, but he just wanders forever. He's also becoming fairly well known by cartographers as a great resource for accurate information.
As long as they're willing to walk alongside him while they talk.
Oh yeah, he won't stop for them.
You okay, Riz?
I know what his theme song is. That's all.
He travels
I
round
think I
and
know.
round and round and round and round.
I mean, there's two. There's two that are absolutely, one is 500 miles by the Proclaimers, but the other is,
Lock 5.
well, I'm the type of guy who likes to roam around.
Ah, no, that one.
They
Yeah.
call me the Wanderer.
It's definitely that
I'm the
one.
Wanderer. I roam around, 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 around. Da, da, da.
If I can remember this, because I don't have a place to jot this note down, if you ever encounter this individual out in the wild, I'm going to add them to a random encounter table. That's literally what he's going to be whispering under his breath. All right, so that takes us back to
I'm
Tanzanite
sure he'll
really
try to
quickly,
kill
and
me,
then
probably. If you...
and then back to Trixie. Tanzanite, did you get up to anything else in that, or are you just focusing on the other two things that you had listed?
Just those other two things.
Okay. Can you go ahead and roll a
Should
persuasion?
my other two friends had needed me, I would go right away, but there's not anything that I was like, I must join them on this.
Yeah, I think over the course of the year, you definitely are all staying in touch, mostly because like Asher shows up to ask you about a dragon person who claims to be a god, and
that's definitely the only reason he came to talk to you.
And Trixie swings by on her constant travels, trying to find out about different herbal pieces and bits and bobs in her explorations. She's kind of an omnipresent individual. There grows to be a little bit of folklore around her as seeking some holy relic from the old world on her airship voyages, even though that's not at all what she's doing. Like rumor mill circles and just goes crazy.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Tanzanite just adds fuel to that fire.
Oh,
Just-
you suck.
Nice.
You
Tanzanite, can you roll?
suck.
This is a super low level roll for you.
Of course it
But
is.
can you roll a persuasion check, and we're going to use it as rumor mongering with advantage because they already are speaking of this.
Rude.
Okay. And
Rude.
Do you need Asher's help?
I'm gonna show up and
Does
be like,
Asher?
it's
don't
still
know.
not great. It's a
Does
9.
Asher also? It's a 9 total.
Yeah, so I may not be the best gossiper, but I definitely attempt to.
Yeah,
like,
who has a network of gossipers. I'm just saying.
be like, well,
so-
I had lunch with her the other day, and she said that.
I would say that your success is limited to the god aspirant beings around you and to the people you end up recruiting as followers. However, one of those godlike beings is the god of rumors.
Ah.
But the god of rumors likes to make sure that they have legit information. So the god of rumors goes to Asher and says, "Tell me, is your friend really a pirate queen of the airship skies, seeking out a holy relic?"
I mean, obviously. I thought that was common knowledge.
I hate you both.
Roll a deception check.
Taz and I just from the corner be like, "See, I told you."
Okay, I'm going to use a luck point because we're getting this right. There we go. 26.
Okay. Trixie, I'm sure that you try to quell these rumors. Can you just roll what I'm going to call your honesty check or your integrity check to see how successful or unsuccessful you are? Please don't roll in that one because I will say that it's not going to feed the right type of thing. So use persuasion and...
Imagine when your dad finds out that you're a pirate. He's going to be thrilled.
I just love how rumors get distorted over time. I'm already rolling for how distorted this gets.
The telephone game.
It's a 5 total.
Hey, it's not a nat 1.
Not a nat 1. That's good. You're saved from truly having to deal with people trying to join your crew.
Just someone showing up, being like, "Oh, I'm here to pirate."
But you eventually give up in frustration. The high-ranking members of society, Asher's mom, your grand, the military people, they know that it's not true, but they find your frustration so viscerally amusing that
They do. Definitely not you. They do.
that they, while they constantly, in your presence, quell the rumors, in private, they joke about their little pirate queen.
At some point, somebody's going to run away from us screaming because they find out you're Trixie the Pirate Queen. It's going to be amazing.
Or run at you screaming.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
So you've added...
Oh my god, if I get groupies, I'm going to be... Ugh.
You've literally added 12 different things to my encounter table in this 1 year of just off-task stuff. So Tanzanite, I need you to roll a religion check to see how successful you are in creating your following. And if you wanted to recruit either Trixie or Asher in any way to helping you with this or some other being, please indicate that before we get to the roll.
Was there one being that kind of like, was more willing in, what am I trying to say? Like partnership and a truce and all that than any of the others?
Dagda definitely has become a source of information, and you gain the idea that she's kind of just this chaotic but good-natured being.
Mm-hmm.
She just likes to have a little bit of fun. We can always retcon later after you look through the list of gods or come up with your own that there's somebody else. But I'd say that she's probably the most helpful.
Then yeah, I would say for now, unless we change it, that I would get her aid in, almost just like a guidance counselor-esque way, being like, okay, I want to do this. How does this sound? Kind of like.
So I have some questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Due to her domains and what she's interested in, she infuses her suggestions with little tongue-in-cheek sort of things. Gallows humor would become part of your worship. Also, a strong sense of it is natural and is part of the nature's cycle for death to occur.
Mm-hmm.
Do either of those two things conflict with your domain or your desire for what you would become? It could be gallows humor. It could just be...
Yeah, I mean, I want there to be joy, even though it is like death, like it isn't. But again, it's like a natural thing. But I don't want. You know what? No, I don't mind either of those.
Okay. So, yeah, she helps and provides suggestions, and they always are a little bit tinted by those two frames of what
Mhm.
she like. And I think over the course of this year, especially since I spent 6 months with these people, they're always taint their way
Mhm.
of describing things by the domain that they seek to claim.
Mhm.
Some of them want to work together to claim the domains, and some of them are a little bit more competitive with each other, and so there's some friction that's in those spaces. But it just becomes very apparent that it's kind of like a magical salamander in our imagination is always a fire, whereas like a sylph is always wet. It's kind of like that they're always a little bit death if they're a death god. They're always a little bit life if they're a life god, and
Okay.
it's very interesting how they're all pulled together.
Mhm.
So, yeah, she does provide you a little bit of assistance, and I'll say you can roll your religion check with advantage,
Perfect.
but it's definitely going to color your domain a little bit.
It's better than the first one. A 10.
It's slow going. Do you have a specific area you would be trying to recruit from? Overton, Canyonville, another location entirely?
I would start where I'm most comfortable, which would be Underton, and then branch out if there is an Underton. You know what I mean? Like that area and branch out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you go to Underton, it's still there. It seems that the arrival of gods has changed things a lot, and this is actually where you end up kind of hanging out with the other gods of death. Apparently, there was a new super here who has joined those who don't want humanity to be here, and that super was a god that was kind of created out of the belief that you find out of people between when the gods were kind of banished and held away and when their reemergence. But that usurper has left, and that was actually what ended up being you find out what your mother and others worshipped. And I think that little bit of rumor by following this trail would reveal that your mother worshipped this being.
But that being still around and was there for that like 6 months or no?
No,
Okay.
no. This being left when
all the other ones came back and now is
yeah,
gone.
not gone, left to the side of the destruction of humanity rather than the care or the ruling of humanity. She was very much of the idea that she wanted control, and when the people of Overton and Canyonville and several other spaces aligned themselves against that, and she couldn't get any way with them, she left, and many of her followers left with her. So Underton is a little bit less filled, and I think even at this point, can you just roll a persuasion check to see if you'd find this out?
Ooh, 17.
Amazing. So with a 17, you find out that there's a lot of rumors that your mom left to join her.
Figured.
They're rumors, but it kind of lines up a little bit too. All right. Slow going, you end up gathering a nice little close cohort of 20 individuals. Asher, could you go ahead and roll a deception check? And Tanzanite, could you roll an insight check?
$16.
19.
Okay.
Boom. Boom,
No.
baby.
Not as good of a liar as I'm a performer.
I'm going to say this out loud, although I'm sending you both private messages that are related to this. I've got to find Tanzanite here really quickly. you are successful in establishing this. Let me just type a little bit here. I'm doing whispers. We need to have like a whispers thing.
Once we get all of our huge sponsors, this will be the point where it's like, all right, so, computer mouses, they're great. Use code I need mice to get 10% off at. I see. Now we must read the rest of the whispers.
Yes, you have to read whispers because I can't actually do whispers.
This is me killing for time, and I am entertaining the masses while you read. But I am making sure that there is no actual copyright of song infringement.
It's such a cool song without any distinct melody, but fractions of them that you might really enjoy, and it's so overwhelming.
And certainly not distracting by any means.
Okay. I'll catch up with you all later on those different pieces. Didn't really know that I was going to be doing that. And then you actually have a chance to codify this belief system. Do you have a description right now, or do you want to marinate on it and come up with what you're going to do later? I think she's frozen.
Me?
No, yes, you.
Say that again? My brain went. Uh-huh.
Do you want? Do you have an idea of how you would have your followers codify your belief system, or do you want to marinate on that and think about what exactly?
Definitely marinate, and
okay,
I'll send you a.
Send me a little copy so that I can just know how to react, because I think that given that you rolled a 10, so you have a small group of followers, you definitely had a heavy hand in being able to dictate what it's going to be like and what the dictates of your system of belief are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Trixie.
Yes.
You said there was one more thing.
Yeah. It's not super consequential. It's just she would very much like to either improve upon the shovel that she has, just because she finds like the flat side advantageous, but to either find something equitable that has like a flat, could be honed to a blade idea on one end. So she, I guess maybe as she's out, she's either looking for new and cool weapons, or she would be kind of playing around, and because she does have wood carving and carpentry skills, trying to just kind of tinker, for lack of a better word, on the idea of like a staff with an edge, with a blade on one end, with a flattened blade. Which is funny because I think the monk weapon is kind of like that, but less. I don't know.
Curvy.
Yeah.
Less concave and convex at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to save that as how we do our opener. Maybe that's the last thing that happens, and I want to save that as a shopping trip, where you, maybe you've gained. Tanzanite and Asher both joined you on an expedition. They wanted to go on the airship, maybe whatever reasons they're going to be. But I want us to save that as how we open up season 2, unless anybody else has anything else they would do in this downtime of a year. But we will open up season 2 of the Atland campaign at our next event, which will be published when I actually remember what date it's supposed to be at.
2 weeks from today? The 10th?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Hope you're having a great time. Find your own pod and enjoy playing some games and hanging out with each other.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Bye.